last we left our intrepid adventurers, Duncan the Ranger has joined the party. He comes from another world. He believes that he and his wife were kidnapped and brought to the world of Mper. That night, Duncan talks Ulysses into accompanying him to the blister. It's only about an hour away, so they make their way under cover of darkness. They don't meet anything and make their way by the light of the large green moon called Demon Keep. When they arrive, they look around the area for clues. Duncan points out tracks that match tracks that he would make if he came out of the dungeon, which lends credence to the possibility that this is how he got here. However, there aren't any discernible tracks that show his wife might have come out as well. Duncan suggests going into the blister, but Ulysses tells him they need to bring the rest of the party in on that. And since they're not turning up any additional clues, maybe they should head back to Mountain Vale. As they walk back, Duncan tells the Wanderer that on the world where they come from, there was a huge battle between good and evil. His wife, with the help of many heroes, destroyed the evil, and good reigns supreme on the world. They arrive back at the camp and head their separate ways. In the morning, Duncan outlines his plan to find his wife. He says that he will go west and cross the river. He says that he was found near the river, and maybe they were both in the river and his wife wandered away in delirium and headed west. Seraph tells him that they've all been told by their liege lord not to cross the river. Scala and Australia say that she might be in the dungeon that exists in the blister. They haven't explored it all yet. Ulysses says that he will devote all of his free time to helping Duncan find his wife, but he will not cross the river. He feels that there are more likely places that they'll find her. Duncan sneers at them, picks up his sword, and heads towards the river. The party isn't sure what they should do. They follow him, pleading and begging him to stop. When they reach the woods near the river, the ranger gives them the slip. He travels further down the shoreline and then swims across the river. Several hours later, Altman Bitter comes to the party's tent and tells them that he heard that Duncan crossed the river. He yells at them for letting him do that. He tells them that the Myotians are afraid of other cultures and very protective of their borders, and will probably send a large army to extract revenge. While Bitter is talking, Duncan comes into the tent. Altman Bitter tells him that he may have started a war by his actions. Duncan shrugs and says that he found some campfires on the hill overlooking the village, but no sign of his wife. Bitter leaves, shaking his head, and goes to alert his men and move them closer to the river. He considers constructing a strong point near the river bank. Seraph and Ulysses decide to go and help the soldiers in their building. Akai considers going across the river herself, but decides against it. She spends much time at the edge of the water, praying to the old goddess Marcia. Finn says that his hands are not used to manual labor. He keeps the soldiers' morale up by singing. While walking the area and singing, he makes an impromptu song entitled The Lament of Duncan Warstarter. Duncan, who came along to watch the soldiers work, is not amused. He goes over into a corner and glowers at the bard. At the end of the day, the party has helped the Southern Deseratan soldiers build a strong point. They don't believe that 100 men can hold off really much of a force, but having a place to fight from will give them a better chance. The next morning, the Myotians do not attack. Akai and Ulysses scout around the areas not easily observed from the strongpoint. Seraph continues to practice with the soldiers. He and Bitter bond over the continued training of the men. Australia studies her magic books while Scala surveys the ground, and Finn keeps out of Duncan's way. Duncan has found a stash of beer and proceeds to get drunk. At midday, there are shouts and yells from the village. Everyone turns to face the attack from the east, the last direction they expect an attack to come from.